After a few days of talking about the ballpark situation and the A's potentially moving to Las Vegas, today we're talking about some on-field news because flamethrower Luis Medina appears to be heading to the big leagues to join the A's in Anaheim. We're going to give you all the details on this move today on Locked On A's.
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's time for Locked On A's. Stepping to the mic, it's your host, Jason Burke.
Welcome to the Misery A's fans. It's episode 559 of the Locked On A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, noted baseball fan Jason Burke, and on today's show, we're talking about Luis Medina. I think he's coming up. It seems as though he's coming up. People seem to be saying it. The A's have not announced it, but it seems as though it's happening. So it's just not official yet, I think. And then we're going to be talking about some other moves that the A's did actually make official today. We got, injury news, a DFA of a big name that you know. And then we're going to be talking about what Rob Manfred said to the media, the Associated Press, in the third segment, because Rob sucks. So we're going to talk about Rob Manfred not being great on today's show as well. Also, what do you guys think of that intro? I like it. It's the same intro that we used for the audio version, but now there's video to go with it. So now it feels more official. So thanks for getting that together for me, Locked On. Very, very much appreciate it. It looks great. And Amelia Schimmel, the A's PA announcer, does the intro. I love it. Anyways, before we get into anything, thank you so much for making Locked On A's your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube. So if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button, comment, and like down below. I'll give you a comment prompt at some point. I don't know what to comment yet, but we'll get to it. How about a starting line for Luis Medina in his first start against the LA Angels on Wednesday? What do you think he's going to do? What's the line? Well, don't do it yet. Let me tell you about him first. That's going to be the thing. Also, make sure to follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I'm by Jason B on Twitter. Check out Inside the A's for more A's news, insight, and analysis coming your way whenever A's news happens. It's at Inside the A's. And I don't want to say that I scooped anybody because I didn't see it. It was sent to me via a friend, an Instagram post from an A's minor leaguer, we'll get into it, that said that Luis Medina was getting called up. And so I wrote about that. It's on Inside the A's. First site to have the news. You're welcome. Inside the A's. Got you covered. Even before it's official. Got you covered. That's si.com/MLB/athletics. But let's get into the actual news here. Luis Medina appears to be heading to Los Angeles. I mean, he's going to be joining the A's in Los Angeles. So I like to say, like, he's going to be in Oakland, but they're not in Oakland, so that doesn't make sense. Anyways, Hector Gomez, who is an MLB insider, and also Jorge Juan, an A's prospect, they are both reporting, and also I believe the Dominican Winter League team that he was pitching for, Luis Medina was pitching for over the winter, they also reported it like right before I hit record. All three of those people, or things, let's say people, are things because the team. I didn't know how to classify that. Anyways, everybody's saying that Luis Medina is coming up and he's going to be making his big league debut on Wednesday against the Angels. So that is what's on the docket, apparently. The A's have not made an official move on that front, but to lend some support to these reports that are coming out, Mark Kotsay, when asked by reporters in Texas ahead of the game on Sunday, hey, do you have your rotation figured out? He's like, we're not going to announce that yet. He did confirm that Ken Waldichuk would be starting tonight on Monday against the Angels. He also confirmed Mason Miller would be going on Tuesday against the Angels. He stopped short of saying that J.P. Sears, who would be on rotation or, next in line, would be making the start on Wednesday. So it does appear as though some shenanigans are afoot, and Luis Medina looks to be making his big league debut on Wednesday. So that's fairly exciting. Luis Medina, he came over in the Frankie Montas trade last year, along with Waldichuk and Sears. They also got Cooper Bowman, who's in Double-A right now, I believe. He's good. He's got some pop. He's got some speed. He plays second base, so he's an interesting guy too. But right now, the A's could have three pitchers from that trade pitching for them at the big league level, and the Yankees would have 0 of the players that they acquired in that deal pitching for them at the big league level. Obviously, best wishes to Frankie Montas. Louis Trevino is, I believe, rehabbing, and he just had a setback, so we'll see how... I don't know if he's actually pitched this year. So, anyways, let's not belabor those points. Let's talk about Luis Medina. He can reach triple digits. I think he averaged 96 is what I read, but he can touch 102. So I'm going to say he's averaging harder now. Why not? He can throw 100, just like Mason Miller. But unlike Mason Miller, who made his big league debut in Wednesday's game last week, he has trouble with command. That's kind of the thing that has precluded him from... Precluded? What a pretentious jerk I sound like. That has kept him from pitching at the big league level already, or at least he's made 3 starts so far at AAA in his career. So he hasn't even been in like the upper minors that long because command issues. That's why. He is the A's number 18 prospect. He has the stuff to be the A's top prospect. It's command issues. So look out for the command issues when he makes his debut against, Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout and the rest of them, because they're a good team. They got some good bats over there with Los Angeles. When he came over in the deal with the Yankees, he was sent to Midland, Double-A Midland. He threw 20 2/3 innings, gave up 35 hits. That's a lot of hits. For the amount of innings. He had an 11.76 ERA, and he was walking more than a batter an inning at 9.6 walks per 9. Those aren't good stats, but he seems to be cleaning it up a little bit. He seems to be on the right path. Before his last start, he had allowed 0 walks in a game, in a start. He went 4 innings, allowed 0 walks, and then he had to go on the... not the bereavement list, temporarily inactive list. That's the one. There was a family issue. He came back, made a start, walked 5 guys. Not great, but he's here. Seemingly, he's here now. And in Vegas, in his 3 starts, he has gone 9 1/3 innings pitched, given up 5 hits, 7.7 walks per 9. So that's better. And he also has a 3.86 ERA. The 5 hits, that's a lot less, as opposed to giving up 1.5 per inning pitched. He's giving up one every 2 innings pitched is basically how that math is working out, I believe. He's done better, I think. I don't know that he's quite there yet. I did see somebody on Twitter say that he's more ready than Hogan Harris probably was. So that's good, but Hogan Harris also walked like 5 guys in 1/3 of an inning. So that's where we're starting from. Can he get through a full inning? Can he get 2 outs? That's where we're going right now. Pipeline says that his curveball is also unhittable. So he has 2 pitches at the very least. That's nice. The Miller-Medina combo is tantalizing long term. If Medina can figure out his command and Miller is, what we hope he is, and he stays healthy, those 2 guys could be very nice at the top of an A's rotation. Hopefully that A's rotation is in Oakland long term. I am choosing to believe that it will be currently, because that's going to get me through some days. But that could be a very dynamic pair in the rotation. So it's an exciting time. And maybe they're trying to make it so that we forget about the news that happened right before they come back home. But hey, maybe not too. Maybe they just need a pitcher, which they do. The timing is questionable because ahead of calling up Mason Miller, David Forrest told reporters I was there. He said, I don't know what else he could have done to force his way up here than, throwing 5 no-hit innings and striking out 11. I don't know what else he could have done. Luis Medina left some to be desired. He did walk 5 guys in his last outing, and the A's have walked a lot of guys. Let's be honest. They lead the league in walks. I believe it's 116 walks in 22 games? It's a lot of walks. A lot of walks. I know a lot of those came in 1 game, but still. The reason that I think that this is happening is the A's need a pitcher, and the only pitcher on the 40-man roster outside of Hogan Harris, who they've already tried, is Luis Medina. Everybody else is hurt. End of list. or they're already in the majors. So that's the end of the list. Luis Medina is just a fresh body. He's ready to go. He last pitched on the 19th, so he's good to go like today, but they're not going to call him up today. They're going to have him start on Wednesday and just go out there, give us like 60 pitches or whatever, and then we'll see what happens. I think that how this ends up playing out is it's a one-start thing because he's probably not ready. Kind of like with Hogan Harris. They needed a pitcher. They needed somebody that can give them some innings, and they're just trying to cobble together innings right now. It's whoever it is, they don't care. And so they didn't have to DFA anybody to bring Luis Medina up. They're going to have to send somebody down. Corresponding move, TBD. I mean, it could be a couple of guys. Everybody, aside from Yuri's Familia, has an option remaining, at least one option remaining. So it could be James Caprillion if they want to go that route, because he's not looked great in his last 3 appearances. They could also send down Fuji, but I mean, why? Move him to the bullpen before you send him down, I think. So it's gonna be a big name, I would imagine, that's gonna be sent down, and to make room for Luis Medina. So the other part of this is what's the long-term plan here? And I think the long-term plan is it's a short-term plan because Drew Rosinski made his rehab start on Sunday. I believe we talked about it on yesterday's episode. He looked good. He went 5 innings, gave up 2 hits, I believe. I think it was scoreless. Yeah, 5 scoreless, I believe. So he's probably going to be ready to make his A's debut on Friday. That would be his next turn if he's going to stay on schedule. So I would imagine that Luis Medina pitches on Wednesday and gets sent down on Friday. That's just how I see that working out. Just a thought. And then also you keep some of that depth, but also you're not trying to push him at the big league level where he's not necessarily ready yet. That's how I see it playing out. What's the corresponding move going to be? That's a good question. You could argue that it should be Fuji. And I know that I said that we would talk about Fuji, but other things happen. So sorry. A's news is weird and a lot these days. But I think that maybe Fuji doesn't. Why would you send him to the minors? You get him for 1 year. If you want to try and trade him, you got to try and have him do it at the big league level. You think, right? Or you could have him go long term, and if he was signed for more years, yeah, send him down. That's great. But you got him for 1 year, and you got to try and do something. And I don't know that sending him down to the minors and giving away some of that time is in the cards for them. So we'll see who is actually sent down for Luis Medina if he does in fact come up. But it seems as though he is. So that's why it's leading off today. But coming up, we got some injury news and a DFA of a pretty big name to go over. So stay locked in, you guys. This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk through things. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. I know that I haven't done therapy myself personally, but I know some people that have had very nice breakthroughs and a lot of benefits from seeking help and having therapy. And they're better people because of it. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapist anytime for no additional charge. With the A's news and also everything else that we're going through in life, therapy might be good for A's fans right now. So discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/LockedOnMLB to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnMLB. Welcome back to the Locked On A's podcast. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to subscribe wherever you like to hear podcasts. Follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I'm a by Jason B on Twitter. Check out Inside the A's for more A's news, insight, and analysis coming your way. Whenever A's news happens, it's at Inside the A's. That is at Inside the A's on Twitter. Also, if you just want to type it into the URL, it is, or the bar up top on your computer, it's si.com/MLB/athletics. There's good stuff up there. I have the Sam Long, spoiler alert, we're about to talk about Sam Long. Who is he? Go to Inside the A's or keep listening and you'll find out here in a second. There's the stuff that I'm about to talk about, that's already up there. There's news up there, and there's good quotes. I got Mark Kotze's quotes from Friday's game when he talked about it's his full quotes from just what he thinks about the A's potentially leaving town for Vegas. So there's lots of good stuff up over there right now, but let's talk about the moves that the A's made about an hour ago as we're recording. This is Monday that we are recording this. First move, Adrián Martínez. He was in the A's bullpen as a long man because the A's needed, 2 other starting pitchers in their bullpen because their other starting pitchers weren't giving them length. So that's where Adrián Martínez has been sitting, and now he's going to be sitting on the 15-day IL with a strain in his elbow. So that's unfortunate news. He'd been doing okay. In his last 2 outings, though, he hadn't been looking as crisp as he had been in his previous 4 outings, I believe. He's pitched a lot, you guys. He's gone in his last 2 outings, 6 innings pitched, given up 11 hits, 9 earned runs, walked 1, struck out 6. He has a 6.75 ERA on the season in 17 1/3 innings pitched. It's a lot of innings for a guy pitching in relief only because the starters aren't going deep. That's a lot. It was a big ask for Adrián Martínez. Hopefully he's going to be better soon. That'd be nice. But Adrián Martínez is on the IL. That stinks. Best of luck to him in his recovery. Then replacing him on the roster in Oakland is Sam Long. Spoiler alert. Now it's been spoiled, I guess. Sam Long he was acquired by the A's from the Giants for cash considerations on Sunday night, and he's a lefty. He's going to be the 3rd lefty in the A's bullpen, along with Sam Moll. And if you haven't been watching A's baseball, you don't know about Richard Lovelady. He's lovely. I talked to him for a minute right after it was announced that he was going to be there. He was in the clubhouse. I was like, hey, Richard Lovelady, how you doing? He's a nice guy. I like Richard Lovelady. He's been solid for the A's so far. Hasn't given up a run in like 3 innings. Solid. The A's now have 3 lefties in their bullpen. They started the season with 1, and then they keep getting other ones. So that's a plus. I think J.P. Sears was supposed to be there, and Kirby Snead was supposed to be there, but J.P. Sears is now pretty good in the rotation, and Kirby Snead is on the IL, and he seems to be doing okay. Last I talked to him, he was doing okay. He's still optimistic about the season, so that's a plus. Sam Long's going to be in the bullpen. That's kind of what he does. This season, he has a bad ERA, like a 9.90 ERA, I believe. He throws 94 miles an hour, and in 2021, he threw a slider 2.2% of the time, I believe. This season in the minors, he has been throwing it about 16 or 17% of the time. So he's changed his focus a little bit, and it's a small sample size. He's thrown like 11 innings in the minors this year, and hasn't done great, but he has a lot of big league experience. Only really, not mainly, only in the 2021 and 2022 seasons with the San Francisco Giants. In those 2 seasons combined, he had a 4.55 ERA. Last season, he had a 3.61 ERA, and he walked just 3 per 9, which, has to be pretty appealing if you're the Oakland A's and you lead the world in walks and ERA and all of the other bad stats. Sam Long, not just walking guys freely, seems like a good idea. So Sam Long, come on down. We'll see how he does. We'll see what happens here. I would assume that he's going to pitch tonight because he's fresh arm, and why the heck not? But the big DFA, and it's a player that I really like. I know that he has his issues, but I really like this guy, and it's Dérmis Garcia. Big fan. Lots of pop in that bat. Lots of strikeouts in that bat, but a lot of pop in that bat. Dérmis Garcia seems like a lovely person, too. He was DFA'd, designated for assignment. Last year, he hit like 201, had like a 260 on base, 5 home runs, struck out 44% of the time with the Oakland A's. That's a lot. I said all offseason, he needs to get that down to at least, let's say, 29.9, which is what he had it at in AAA last season. If you can get that down to 29.9, which is the highest that Chris Davis ever had his at the big league level with the A's, I thought that would be the breakthrough point for him. If he could get a 29.9, then he could be a viable major leaguer. This season, it has actually gone up from where it was last season in AAA. So that's not great. It's at 34.3 right now. in 16 games, still a small sample size, so not a ton to work with there. He's been doing okay. He's hitting all right, but it's still a lot of strikeouts for Dérmis Garcia. I also he'd been working on a new loading mechanism. He'd been lifting his leg a little bit less. I believe it was like a third or a half of the amount that he had been. So it's still a work in progress for him. Hopefully, for my own sake and for his, maybe, I don't know, he's still only 25 years old, and hopefully he gets to stick with the organization. Hopefully he goes unclaimed on waivers. But I think that the reason that they chose Dérmis Garcia is, one, he might be able to pass through waivers, and two, they got some first base candidates already on the roster. They've already got Ryan Noda, Rule 5 draftee. He's been doing pretty good. They also have Jesus Aguilar, currently on the roster in the big leagues. So his path to the big leagues this season, not looking great. And then they also have Tyler Soderstrom, who is playing first base like half the time. So not a lot of long-term first base prospects for Dérmis Garcia with the Oakland A's, but I like him, and I like seeing him with the A's. So hopefully he gets to stick with the team. But that'll be a thing that we talk about a little bit later. If he goes claimed, or if he gets claimed, hopefully it's to a team that will treat him well and to a fan base that will love him. So that is all the news there. Again, Sam Long throws 94. Been working on that slider. I'm intrigued. And it reminds me of when the A's made another trade with the Giants that just involved cash considerations, and that was when they got Burch Smith, who was pretty good outside of getting injured. Pretty good. They also traded for Sam Moe. I believe that was also cash considerations. He's been pretty solid for the A's. Could be one of those types of deals. We'll see. Also, I found it funny that Sam Long was DFA'd because the A's traded Cal Stevenson, who they had DFA'd, to the Giants. And so the Giants, to make room for Cal Stevenson on their 40-man roster, DFA'd Sam Long, and then the Giants just traded Sam Long to they could have just traded Cal Stevenson for Sam Long straight up, and they were like, no, we haven't made a player-for-player trade since 1990. We're not about to start now. We're just swapping cash considerations here, you guys. It's ridiculous, but it's petty, and I love it. So the more things change, the more they stay the same. Actually, coming up, we're going to be talking about Rob Manfred just being Rob Manfred, and we're going to have some words for that guy coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by SoRare. Our new sponsor, SoRare, is a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 Major League Baseball teams. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, SoRare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards and there's no cost to play. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance collecting increasingly powerful cards and accessing next level competitions and rewards. And they're using guys like Julio Rodriguez and Juan Soto in order to help get the word out. And those are two guys that I like being associated with. Those are two pretty good players in baseball. So head to sorare.com/lockedon. That's SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's sorare.com/lockedon to start playing today. The A's take on the Angels tonight at 6:40 p.m. You can watch every pitch with the hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search Athletics. And then you can see if Ken Waldichuk, who's pretty good, is going to be good enough to beat Jose Suarez tonight in the Big A. That's going to be a big game at the Big A. Make sure to download the SXM app to hear it live. Also, welcome back to the Locked On A's podcast. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to subscribe wherever you like to hear podcasts. Follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I'm by Jason B on Twitter. Check out Inside the A's for more A's news, insight, and analysis coming your way whenever A's news happens. It's at Inside the A's, si.com/MLB/athletics. But let's talk a little bit about what Rob Manfred had to say for John Fisher. Not for himself. He only speaks for John Fisher. John Fisher does not speak for himself ever. You guys notice? Ever. Never ever. So Rob Manfred on Monday told the Associated Press, quote, "We have shown an unbelievable commitment to the fans in Oakland by exhausting every possible opportunity to try to get something done in Oakland." He continues, "Unfortunately, the government doesn't seem to have the will to get it done." End quote. What a ridiculous human being this is. That is not at all what happened, because I've heard the other side of this, and that's not it. That's not what happened, Rob. Who's giving him his notes? They're just like, you're like, oh yeah, I read this other article that said the exact opposite thing, Rob. So he should come up with better lies. Or maybe he doesn't really need to, because MLB is a racket and he's working for a billionaire and we let them do whatever they want. So here's a couple of points to disprove the thing that he just said of them trying the hardest that anybody's ever tried, and nobody's ever thought about trying as hard as they tried to stay in Oakland. One, there was a summit planned for late last week, and the A's, instead of attending the summit, which was meant to see if they could bridge the gap and actually make a deal between the city of Oakland and the Oakland A's, instead of doing that, the A's instead leaked that they were in a binding agreement to buy some land in Las Vegas. So they just squashed the summit that could have landed them at Howard Terminal. Weird. Seems like a lot of they couldn't wait 3 more days? 2 more? They couldn't wait. Why? See it through. It's right. It's a couple of days. See it through. I believe it was Scott Ostler in the article that I was plugging yesterday. He said that they were not afraid that a deal wouldn't get done. They were afraid that a deal would get done in that summit. And right there, seems like it. Sure seems like it. Doesn't seem like they were trying very hard, Rob. But did sure seem like they were trying. The city of Oakland was trying. Oakland A's not. Which seems to be on brand. Have you seen the team this year? It's not great. Didn't look like they tried very hard. The players are doing great. Didn't seem like the front office and the ownership gave Mark Kotsay the tools to try and succeed. Just saying, maybe it goes, into ballpark agreements as well. Weird. He also ghosted the mayor. He didn't. Rob Manfred didn't ghost the mayor. He never called the mayor. Feels weird that you're trying the hardest when you're not even making phone calls, but whatever. The Oakland A's were supposed to call Mayor Shang Tao on Wednesday and did not. They did not do that phone call. Instead, again, just a few hours later, they announced a deal with Las Vegas. Again, what part of this is the government didn't seem to have the will to get it done? Seemed like they were at the table. They were waiting. They were in the car. They were waiting to go to the restaurant. And the A's were like, nah, I don't feel good anymore. That's what happened right there. It's wild that Rob Manfred's quotes are going to be the ones that everybody believes. Don't believe me? Here's some comments that I got on my last video when I said that the A's owner may sell, because that is what was written in The Athletic and in the San Francisco Chronicle, according to people with inside information. Here's what people were saying. Why would John Fisher sell now? That doesn't make sense. He should move the team to Vegas and then they'll be worth a lot more money. That makes business sense. 1, people don't know what makes business sense. And 2, people don't know John Fisher. Like A's fans know John Fisher. What I've seen from John Fisher over the course of 18 years that he's owned the team, he doesn't like to spend money. So why would he sell the team before building a ballpark, before relocating, before doing anything? Because he doesn't want to build the ballpark. He doesn't want to spend $1 billion of his own money. That is why he would sell the team, because the A's are worth an estimated $1.2 billion. Why not just get that money without having to oversee a ballpark project, without having to oversee anything, without having to do anything? As we all know, John Fisher made his fortune by not doing anything. Seems to be on brand to sell the team before you actually relocate or do anything. Just a thought. seems to be on brand for him to try and sell the team before getting a ballpark project done. Because he was gifted his money from his mom and dad, who started the gap. He didn't work for that money. He's not going to work for this money either. He could, in fact, sell this team. That is the argument for him selling the team. Just saying. It makes more sense that he would try and do that as opposed to trying to build something that would last, that would have him, that would give him a legacy. Instead, he's either going to be the villain in Oakland by moving the team, or people will see what happens if he still owns the team and he builds in Oakland. I doubt that will happen. So we'll see. We'll see. But the city seems to have tried. And I believe that I gave Mayor Chang-Tao the short end of the stick on Thursday's pod when I was talking about the initial news. I said that she seemed overmatched. She seems to be doing a pretty good job right now. I was wrong. I have enjoyed her moves that she has done. She held a press conference. She's been good. She's been good. She's only been there a couple of months. She seems to be doing all right. We'll see what happens. But if the A's leave, it's not her fault. That's all I can say. Not her fault. John Fisher's fault, sure. John Fisher's fault, yeah. And also, people keep trying to blame Dave Kaval, too. Yeah, Dave Kaval, also not great. But, who hired Dave Kaval? Dave Kaval is basically the puppet to John Fisher's puppet master. You don't get mad at Jeff Dunham, or at Jeff Dunham's puppets for what they say. No, it's Jeff Dunham doing the puppets. That's how that works. That's how ventriloquy works. I don't know why I thought of Jeff Dunham there, but I did. Not a big fan of his comedy, actually. But it's John Fisher. Dave Kaval's there. He's not necessarily likable, but he's carrying out John Fisher's bidding because John Fisher is his boss. That is what's happening here. But anyways, I'm gonna call it a show for today before I get canceled. That's all that I got for you guys today. Again, download the SXM app and listen to the game. Listen to the game live. Here's the read for you. The A's take on the Angels at 6:40 tonight, and you can catch every pitch with the hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search athletics, and you can watch or you can hear Ken Waldichuk probably throw a no-no. That'll be fun. Ken Waldichuk throwing no-nos on a Monday at the Big A. I should be a rapper. Anyways, that's all that I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for making Locked On A's your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube. So if you haven't already and you're still here, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. Why not? What do you got to lose? And also set those notifications so you know when we, either go live, which hasn't happened yet, but it could happen. We'll see. Or when a new episode's up. Just do that. Just do the notification thing. But that's all that I got for you guys today. On tomorrow's episode, we'll probably be talking about whatever happened on the field. Ken Waldichuk's no-no, definitely. And maybe we'll give some more thought as to what the other roster move could be to make room for Luis Medina, because I assume that the A's are not going to announce that until Wednesday morning. So what could happen? We'll talk about that on tomorrow's episode of Locked On A's. But that's all I got for you guys today. So until tomorrow, go out and celebrate good times, A's fans, and I'll talk with you tomorrow.